Let's move on to question 2. Bonds wrote McGuire, "I will sell you my house and lot at 419 West Lombard Street, San Francisco, California, for $950,000 payable upon merchantable deed. Deal to be completed within 60 days of the date of your acceptance." Assuming that Bond's letter contains terms which are deemed sufficiently certain and definite, which of the following statements is correct? A. Bond's letter is not an offer unless Bond's intended it to be an offer. B. Bond's letter is not an offer unless McGuire thought Bonds intended to make an offer. C. Bonds' letter is an offer if a reasonable person with full knowledge of the circumstances would be justified in thinking it was intended as an offer. Or D. Bonds' letter is not an offer unless both Bonds and McGuire considered it as an offer. Now let's think about the elements of what an offer has. First, they look at some objective indication of a present intent to contract on the part of the offerer. So in this case, it's more of a meeting of the minds. What this element is asking is what this element is saying is that there must be a reasonable understanding between both parties that there is an offer available. Number 2, look for specificity or definiteness in the terms of the alleged offer. Number 3, whether the alleged offer has been communicated to the offeree. So it can be oral, written, it can be communicated through the phone, email, just some sort of communication of the offer. Now, in this case, the elements are satisfied. The reason why it's considered an offer is because a reasonable person would recognize that Bond's letter had an intent to contract. Now let's look at the incorrect answers. A and B are incorrect because based on the assumption of a reasonable person, the meeting of the minds, a reasonable person would be able to conclude that Bonds' terms are specific, there is an intent to contract, and there is a communication of the offer to the offeree. And if you look back on the question, it says, assuming that Bonds' letter contains terms which are deemed sufficiently certain definite, this is an example of the elements of specificity being satisfied. Therefore, A and B are incorrect. Now D is incorrect because an offer is communicated by the offerer, and the offeree either rejects or accepts the offer. Only one party is the offerer and one party is the offeree. Now the correct answer is C. Bond's letter is an offer if a reasonable person with full knowledge of the circumstances would be justified in thinking it was an intended offer. Now C is correct because the facts suggest that Bonds is intending to contract with McGuire.